Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we officially kick this off, I would like to point out that we welcome questions. So during today's fireside chat, if you have a question, please post it in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, and we will address those questions, time permitting, at the end of today's fireside chat. So I would now like to turn this over to Stephen Saltstein, Force Family Office's CEO.
Thank you, Callie, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us. I am honored to have the team from XSponse with us today. You know, it's funny, gentlemen, I've been thinking a lot about your company, and I thought a great tagline for your company would be safety in numbers. And what I mean by that for everyone is, XSponse uses AI. They're using algorithms. They're using the state of the art security equipment in order to create a comprehensive offering to keep schools, office buildings, I mean, anywhere where people are gathering. These guys are on the cutting edge. So to begin with, if you wouldn't mind, maybe Lee, could you just give us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then Ryan and Andrew could do the same, and then we'll kind of dig in from there.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks everyone for joining today. I really appreciate it. Andy, myself, and Ryan were actually calling in from Washington, D.C. right now. We saw Steve yesterday in Washington, D.C., and just came from an incredible meeting at the White House, which was awesome. I'm sure we'll get to talk about it a little bit later today. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been in this business in the security space for over 20 years. I had a security technology company from 2004 to 2019. I had sold that company to private equity, and our focus there was working on school safety, security, and overall security technology. Founded XSponse with my partner, John, who's our CTO, really to make a difference and create incredible technology that ultimately saves lives. I've known Ryan and Andy for many, many years from my prior career, and we've been working together tirelessly to bring this technology to light. And it's been an incredible run. And what you're going to hear about today, and what you may have seen on them with prior webinars, is just a little bit about how this technology works and how it's truly making a difference.
Thank you. Ryan or Andy?
Sure. So my name's Andy Pollock. I grew up in Long Island. I've always owned my own businesses since I delivered newspapers when I was 12 years old, and I owned businesses. I was in the scrap business in Oceanside, Long Island for about 12 years. I sold that business, moved down to Florida to have a better life. I got into real estate business when I was in Florida, pretty successful in that. And then my whole life changed in 2018 when my daughter was killed in the Parkland school shooting. Words cannot express or put you can't understand how bad it is to have a child murdered. I had to find out all the answers how I could send my daughter to school and never see her again. So I was able to really look in to the failures in Parkland, and I knew that I had to make a difference because I wouldn't want any other parent to feel the way that Ryan and I do for the rest of our lives. So we put everything we had into coming up with ideas and strategizing and technology and policies. So these type of shootings wouldn't happen, but they keep happening. There's a lot of Florida. We made a lot of progress. There's still a lot of areas in the country that need help, and that's what we do. We dissect. We hate to say it. After every shooting, we really look into it, myself and Ryan and my team, and we see what could we have done differently to make response, because it's all about response and speeding it up to save lives. So this is what I dedicated a big part of my life into, making sure that other families don't have to go through what Ryan and myself do. And we're seeing a lot of progress. I enjoy what I do. It kind of helps me. It's therapy to help communities. And when I see what we have to offer, when it's in place, and I see how they're amazed. It brings my heart, brings me happiness to see it. And that's where we're at now when we're in DC having meetings, and I'm a workaholic. So that about sums it up.
It's good.
Andy, first of all, I can't tell you and Ryan how sorry I am for your loss. I mean, obviously, words are just words. But anyway, the one great thing to come out of this is that you guys are in a position to save lives and do everything possible to prevent this from happening in all different environments. So I just want to say thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. And I'll introduce myself. My name is Ryan Petty. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at XSponse. Excited to be here today and grateful for all those that took the time to attend. I think we've got an important message that we'll share with you today. I am a serial entrepreneur and technologist, and love technology, and knew that after Parkland, obviously, as Andy said, my life changed, my mission, my focus changed. I'm an optimist that we can solve this problem, and I knew technology would play a role in that. I wasn't quite sure exactly what role that could play, and then I met Lee Mandel and realized that Lee had been working around the edges of this problem for a number of years, and we've truly come up with a solution here at XSponse. It's going to save lives because it's going to reduce the chaos of these during these terrible tragedies, and not just school shootings, but any kind of public or mass public violence events. It's going to bring order to chaos. It's going to reduce the time that first responders take to respond with the right equipment at the right place at the right time to solve the emergency, and that's ultimately going to save lives. The irony of ironies is that my last job, or before my daughter Elena was killed in Parkland, was I ran product development for ADT, a security company. My last stop in my career was a security company, and I regret, as I know Andrew, hinted at this too. I regret that I wasn't more aware of the threats that were going on in my own daughter's school. Being a security executive, I was aware of the threats that we face every day. American families do it at home, in particular in our businesses. I didn't see the warning signs or the threats at my daughter's school, and so to Andy's point, so grateful to have met Andy just after the tragedy, and for us, it really became a mission to try to prevent this from happening again. So grateful to have met Lee. Grateful that technology can play a role in solving these tragedies, and grateful that those of you watching are here today and listening to this message.
Lee, let me ask you a question, which is, when you started the company, did you understand how important what you're doing was? Like, did you understand how impactful that these solutions at the most visceral core can help people not be victims of violence?
Well, my prior company, we had a lot of success deploying systems similar to organizations such as schools, mass gathering establishments, and that's where I had the opportunity to meet Ryan and Andy and work with them. But there was always restrictions. We couldn't manufacture the way we wanted it to work. There was always, challenges with getting systems to work with each other and integrate with each other, and it was always a challenge. And XSponse gave us the capability of building solutions that just work, that we have full control over using artificial intelligence and AI. It's absolutely incredible, and it gives us that capability. But hearing Ryan and Andy tell me, Lee, if this technology was in place back in Parkland in 2018, there's a chance our daughters would be alive. That's the impact statement right there. That's what does it for me every day, every morning. The three of us just came from a meeting together, all in the same hotel in different locations right now. And we came from a meeting a little while ago and just talking just about that and how impactful this is. This isn't a financial, thing for us. This is a mission, and we're on a really valuable mission, an incredible mission, and it's a lot of fun too. And, presenting at the White House to people who are right underneath the president and seeing their response when we tell them what we're doing. And they said, wow, what you guys have created is unheard of. He goes, this is going to save lives. So yeah, we hear it every day. We see it every day. We wake up thinking about it every day. And that is our sole mission.
Can one of you, you're all qualified, can one of you tell us, I just want to roll it back for 1 second, just in basic terms, tell us, what the company does, but really, what are your differentiating factors? What are you doing different?
So I think the key that I always say when people ask, how do you describe XSponse in 3 words? It's triggers, actions, and events. What's a trigger? A trigger could be anything from a gunman walking into a school and being able to hit a panic button or initiate an emergency notification. An action would be anything like sending emails, text messages, locking doors, visual notifications, audible notifications, communications, mapping, and taking that and putting it all together. We've created an infrastructure as a service, a software as a service model, if you will, that basically puts these tools in the power of organizations. Whether it's a hotel that's looking for a trigger to be when a vape detector goes off in a hotel room for it to be able to notify the staff, or a hotel that wants to put panic button wearables in all the hands of all the cleaning crew, or whether it's a school district that wants to put the power of a wearable badge to initiate an emergency and provide first responders with live access to cameras and information. Or it could be anywhere from a hotel or a hospital, anything. It's incredible the way we speed up response time. It's really seconds matter, seconds save lives. And without technology, it's all about putting those seconds back into the first responders' hands so that they have a fighting chance to save a life. But what's super incredible about our technology is it's not just for the big event, so to speak, that we hope never happens. There's day-to-day use cases with everything that we put out there. All the software, all the hardware, all the infrastructure gets used on a day-to-day basis, whether it's for communication, PA announcements, authentication, activations of different subsystems, environmental temperature monitoring. So it has a day-to-day use case to build that muscle memory. So you're not just having a panic button on the wall that no one ever uses. We have other use cases so that God forbid we need it, it's there when we need it.
I'd like to just touch on that. There's one thing that meant a lot to me and why we were developing this. We've learned in a lot of these emergencies that people fail, humans. Even we know military people with training that's failed. Police officers fail. What I mean by fail is they're not able to go on their radio and say exactly what's happening, where they are, to speed up response. So we took that human error out of it with this button that we have, that the wearable or one that's mounted. We had to take the human error out of it because we saw what happens in a lot of these shootings. So I just wanted to touch on that when Lee was talking about how we're different from a lot of other companies.
Yeah, Ryan, you've spent years speaking with families, school officials. What's the biggest misconception schools have about, what safety actually means?
Yeah. Well, one of the big ones that we see constantly is many school districts feel like they can put a camera up, a surveillance camera up, and that's somehow going to protect the school from tragedy. And we've learned nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, really, the surveillance camera is there for forensic purposes. It's really to record the event as it's unfolding. It does nothing to really prevent it or to get first responders where they need to be. What you need is to incorporate all of the devices, and we've got multifunction sensors. We've got the buttons that Andy and Lee have been talking about, and we integrate with the surveillance cameras that are there. So we can bring a complete picture of what's going on at that school at the moment of crisis, right? Or as we said, day-to-day operations also, but we bring that all together into a operating picture that first responders can use. And Andy mentioned this is communication. It's getting information to the right people that can make decisions and can act quickly. And that's what we do that's different than just a passive surveillance system. This is active. It's enabled during an emergency, and it takes the human error out of the response. That's our goal, and we know that will save lives, Steve.
So I want to go off script here for a second because I had the privilege of listening into the conversation you guys had last night with the woman that runs the largest school district in the country or the largest state school districts in the country. And she was saying, she kind of made distinction, and she was basically kind of saying that the what you guys are providing was the half of the puzzle that she was missing.
Yeah.
So it seems like I guess she already has maybe the infrastructure in these schools, but then you guys, the half of what she was missing is that you guys can kind of use AI and just really supercharge that infrastructure. Can you just
Yeah, I think, my takeaway from that conversation is, yeah, she's got a piece of it. They've got law enforcement, they've got education, they've got them communicating and talking to each other to a certain extent, but no one's a quarterback. So when an event happens, what do we do? What's the next step, right? And what she saw last night, and we're super excited to talk to every school district in Texas. Shouldn't have said the state, but anyway, sorry, Steve. But
I didn't
but
say
what
you did, but
we're
anyway,
excited about there. And look, one of our customers, it's we're deploying there is in Texas, and we think Texas is going to be a really great market for us. But one of the things we see there is that we are that operating system that pulls all those things together. That's the missing piece she recognized last night, is nobody's doing that. Nobody's acting as that quarterback. And
Yeah.
she saw that, and we can play that role, and that's what she saw that had value.
Also, what's good about with our company is we could integrate with anything they also have at the schools. They don't
Yeah.
have to just go start from scratch on everything. And there's a misconception that also when you mentioned like what the schools are doing wrong, a lot of times I get they ask me what do they need to do? It's really not a one quick fix for any one particular building. It's always done in layers security. And you can't just say, okay, we're just going to put this fencing in and then we're going to be safe. There's different layers that need to be implemented. And what our company offers is it's really like a one-stop shop. We can help, because a lot of these teachers and superintendents, they're really not experts in IT or technology. And we offer the expertise in having a one-stop shop. They don't have to piece out all different pieces for their security systems. It's a one ecosystem.
Steve,
We could.
and Steve, I'll give you another example to piggyback on, what Andy and Ryan just said, that's out of the school space. We're talking so much about schools and safety and security, but it's tying all these subsystems, these disparate systems that don't communicate with each other and bringing them together. One of the latest releases that we're doing is for hotels. And hotels are battling a horrible challenge of being able to maintain policy and procedure when it comes to vape, environmental detection, and drug use in the hospitals, in the hotels. So we're doing a partnership with hotels, and we're actually going to be meeting with someone in DC this week who handles the National Organization for Hotel Operators, where we're going to do a revenue share with all the hotels, putting our hidden vape detector device in the ductwork. But now by putting that vape detector device in the ductwork and detecting vaping, where they charge typically $500 to $700 per fine.
And it's also smoking, right? Lee? It's
Smoking,
also
marijuana use,
cigarettes, pot,
anything
Yep.
we can detect. By doing that and coming up with a revenue share, we're solving a challenge that they had, because they've been charging people when they vape in the rooms, and they've been getting chargebacks from a lot of the credit card processing companies. So now we're able to provide valid evidence and proof of that detection happening automatically. But the best part about it is now they're part of our ecosystem. And by being part of the XSponse ecosystem, one of the hotels called us and said, hey, we have another challenge where we're required by law now in this particular state to have all of our staff have a wearable panic button. And we're getting prices of thousands and thousands of dollars per month, per year, per this or that. And can you do that? I said, well, here's the great news. We can put this device for free into your ductwork, do a revenue share program with you, and now for a couple dollars more, we can give each of your staff a wearable that when they hit that button, it's going to call down to your command center, call the police, call security, and we're going to pinpoint exactly where that person needs help within 4 feet of the location. No one can do that. And that's the quarterbacking that Ryan was talking about, or the ecosystem that Andy's talking about. We're bringing that all together and creating that common operating picture.
And also, I mean, it's working. You guys have gone from what, 20 resellers to 70 resellers?
Yeah, so that's a valid point. When we first created the company, the goal was we are solely a software manufacturer, hardware manufacturer. We're an engine, we're an ecosystem, and that's what it's all about. We do not sell direct to end users. So when we were meeting with the White House this morning, we mentioned that from a procurement standpoint, we're Microsoft. We're the operating system. And it's super important for them and for procurement purposes where we sell through dealers and distribution channels. So we build this tremendous network. We launched the company January of 2025, formally. Our first products rolled off the assembly line in June of 2025. We're already revenue positive, which is incredible. We already have 72 dealers on board, and we've been specified in hundreds of contracts around the country. So we're off to the races real quick.
Do you sometimes encounter districts that are not really, genuinely committed? They're more about safety theater. Are you still seeing that these days?
It definitely happens, but what I notice is when you do an assessment of a school, or one of our partners does an assessment, and you realize all the vulnerabilities, that report gets passed around like hotcakes from desk to desk to desk. No one wants to be the one who turned down doing this. A lot of times it's challenges with funding, challenges with infrastructure, and that's really what XSponse is all about. We're solving those challenges with infrastructure and funding by being able to sell technology, as capital and, as OpEx purchases, or as infrastructure as a service where they can pay for it annually or monthly. So it supports both of the challenges. So it doesn't have to be a dog and pony show. It can literally be something that's saving lives, and schools want it. They need it. They understand it. They just want someone to understand the challenges and find a way to work through it with them. And that's what we do a great job of doing.
What about office buildings? I mean, 2 months ago, people in my family were touched by that shooter in Midtown that killed 4 people. Do your applications work in large office complexes?
For sure. We just recently had a presentation with one of the largest real estate, from an office space around the country. And they said, this is what we've been looking for, something that all our tenants can get on board with, that as the owner of the property, we can provide, whether it's via mobile communication or a wearable communication. But if you think about what happened in Manhattan, there was someone sitting at a front desk, an off-duty cop. Imagine if he had a wearable in his hand that he was able to hit and lock down that elevator so no one could go up. It's that quick, that immediate, that initial gratification that allows us to control the event and speed up the response time and give first responders information. It's not just for a school. It's not just for a hotel. It's any mass gathering establishment.
Yeah, because in that situation, there was misinformation, and unfortunately, it led to, another death. So, I mean, Andy, if you could wave a magic wand and fix one systematic flaw in how America approaches school safety, I mean, what would it be? What that
I would,
Xbox.
well, I would say it's not when really focused now. We focus on public safety because of all the differences, the malls, what's going on in hospitals, a lot of shootings. People don't realize a lot of it's danger at what goes on in hospitals. So our system, I'd want it's just for response to speed up response. It would be placed everywhere because with our system, your phone could actually be part of the system, and if you turn it around, the camera could be pushed out right to the first responders that are coming. So say there's an emergency, you're in the mall, Steve, right? Okay, you're in the emergency. Something's happening in the mall. You could just say medical. Someone's having a heart attack, right? When you go to the mall, do you know the address of exactly where you're at? No one, most people don't know the address of their hotel, the mall, anywhere they're at. So they'd be able to use our technology. If you were in the mall, you could press the button on your phone. It would go right to the first responders. They'd pop up on your phone. You'd show them a video. You could say, look, this guy is having a heart attack or something. And they'd know exactly where you are and they'd be able to send help. It's the same thing for a shooting. If you're in a building, you could hit it. You could show, like, a lot of times the police don't know what they're going to walk into, in an emergency. So with our software, they'd be able to know exactly the SWAT, whoever's coming, we could push video right to their cell phones of the first responders that are responding to that emergency. So they know beforehand, okay, I see 2 shooters, right? I see, okay, and then they're going to map it. So they're going to know which door to go in. That's the quickest to get there so they could save lives, because every second could be a life. So I could see us replacing a lot of that, the 911 stuff that's really ancient. When you look at the way the 911 system is,
Yeah.
Oz takes that all out and it brings us up into 2025.
Yeah. Lee, I was looking at the public comps. I mean, your gross margins are much higher than the public comps. What underlying decisions are you making that make those margins possible?
Well, we own all the infrastructure, and that's the key. We do everything from our own board creation, PCBs, infrastructure creation, all the software is done in-house. We're not renting a third-party product and putting our logo on it, so to speak. So it gives us extreme profitability. We're really focused around ARR and recurring revenue, and building a model that builds out that recurring focus. Again, our pricing allows us to provide end users with the ability to purchase upfront, purchase over time, a hybrid solution. Schools can pay per student, per year, annually. So we're really focused on that and really keeping those costs down tremendously. Obviously brings our margins up tremendously and really gives us the ability to attract a different type of audience.
Ryan, you guys have a modular design. So can you talk about that in regards to almost acting as a wedge to give a school system the ability to start with you and then kind of grow with you as well?
Yeah, that's right. So we can come in and solve a number of problems for schools. We've talked a lot about emergency response today. Lee mentioned that we integrate very nicely with the day-to-day operations of a school district. So we've had school districts come, Steve, and say, "Hey, we've got an aging public address system. Could you help solve that problem? Can XSponse do that?" And we absolutely can. We've had other schools come in and say, "We've got a vaping problem. Can you help with that?" Well, absolutely, we can. We've got a teacher safety problem or a student safety problem. Can you help with that? Well, absolutely, we can. So we've got a number of entry points or contact points that we can make with customers to solve their problems. Each of them, basically, when you get the XSponse software platform in place, we can perform all those different functions. We can do one of them, or we can do all of them. And so it's very modular in that regard. We just need to add devices to solve the various tasks that the customer wants to see done. If they want to see a vaping solution, we can bring the vaping modules in. But it all works together as one unified platform. But it gives us the ability to tailor the solution for the end customer and really meet their budgetary requirements, which is what Lee said. And what most importantly, I will say, solve the problem that they're having, right? That's really what we're focused on, solving the problem that they have.
One thing we haven't spoken about are houses of worship. Is that a market that, you guys are eligible for?
100%. And the funding out there for houses of worship right now is incredible. A few of the meetings that we actually have slated here in Washington, D.C. this week is focused around that. We're actually meeting with the head of the organization who puts out all the COPS grants, all the funding, to find funding sources for this. So, yeah, huge opportunity there. We've had a lot of our, dealers really pushing this out. The houses of worship, A, they have funding. B, they have a challenge. And C, we have the solution. So you put those formulas together and we're the perfect solution for that challenge.
Yeah, I would just add, Steve, to that. We saw the attack on the church in Michigan just a few weeks ago, and absolute chaos. So the parishioners came out of the building into the parking lot, which is where the shooter was then waiting for them, right? And so that was the kind of chaos that an XSponse solution can help resolve. Because what that congregation needed to know was information. They needed to know where the shooter was at and what was going on, and more lives could have been saved had there been an XSponse solution in place.
Andy, obviously, you have visibility, White House visibility at the highest levels. Are there top-down pressures that are accelerating demand for a unified safety infrastructure?
Well, everybody always wants to keep everyone safe, and we have meetings all week, and that's what it's about. A lot of the stuff we want to show them, they're not even aware of it. So we have my team, Lee, Ryan, will be meeting with a bunch of people in Congress and some senators also this week to show them what we have, because we'd like to do a lot of the stuff. We like to work on a large scale, state by state. We could give some of our stuff to some states to work with them and show them. They don't even know what's available. Half the time they're buying the wrong stuff, different communities and states. But with us meeting with the grant, we'll be able to show them with a grant writer to be able to show them what direction to go in, and then we'll be there to help them.
Lee, what gives you the most defensibility? I mean, is it your IP, your IP, your ecosystem network effects, the U.S. manufacturing? What's really keeping you in there?
I think all of the above, but the technology itself is just so sticky. Once you're in, you're in. And that's really the key. You get in any mechanism possible, whether it's with the mobile app, whether it's with the wearable, the shield, the display, the platform, the ecosystem. Once you're in, and it's addictive almost because it solves so many challenges. Again, we own all the products end to end. For 20 years, my prior company, we OEM'd, we put our logo on. We own everything, whether it's the software, the hardware, the technology. It's all run and owned by us. So it really makes it sticky. Once we're in, we're in. We're lock and step with them, partners with them, and it's just solid. It keeps us there forever.
That's great. There's a bunch of audience questions, so I want to give Callie an opportunity to address those. So, Callie, take it away.
Okay, thank you very much. So through your discussions with school districts, policymakers, and safety experts, what have you learned about why some safety solutions get adopted while others don't?
Well, Ryan, you want to take that one? But
Sure.
Take it too.
It's a great question, and try to have a great answer for that. Look, a lot of times, Andy made this comment earlier, and let me just build on it. A lot of times school safety decisions get made because the people making the decision, who are often not school safety experts, believe that there's a magic formula, one solution. Like I mentioned, putting surveillance cameras in. They think cameras are going to solve it, or they think putting in single point of entry is going to solve it, or they think building a fence is going to solve it, or they think locking doors are going to solve it. They look for that, and pardon this is a horrible pun, but I can't think of another one, the magic bullet, right? They think of there's one thing we can do that's going to solve it. And a lot of times, unfortunately, vendors get into the position of selling a single point solution, and that single point solution, it's not making the school actually safer. It's not doing what it was intended to do. And I think that's the biggest mistake that we see school districts making. That and there's some other ones they make there, but it's believing that there's a single magic solution that's gonna solve all their problems. What they aren't doing is buying a comprehensive solution, or installing and incorporating in a comprehensive solution that becomes part of how they protect the school.
And because your system integrates many components, how scalable is deployment across large enterprises or multi-campus organizations?
That's honestly where we thrive. In the multi-organizations, multi-campus, yeah, could we do a small school district, a private school? We have. But really taking the AI infrastructure and what we've done with all power over Ethernet, we scale tremendously quick because we're not cabling between buildings or campuses. We could have an infrastructure with 100 buildings and all come together, where a lot of other systems, they're restricted because there's not a physical connection between campuses. That's a great question. Whoever asked that question really understands what we're all about, because that's one of our strongest selling points.
Yep.
And which customer verticals, schools, healthcare, commercial buildings, public ventures, are driving the most traction today? And where do you see your growth coming from in the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, schools have always been the natural way we see this technology being utilized. But believe it or not, like I said earlier in the call, we're seeing a lot of interest and a lot of opportunities in the pipeline with hospitals and hotels. This new revenue share model that we're about to release in January, with the hotel chains is huge. I mean, a partnership like that's just incredible. So we're seeing it just really any location where people gather naturally. Hotels, hospitals are huge as well. We have a lot of interest with prisons, believe it or not. The total addressable market is tremendous because retail. We have a retail client I forgot to mention right now that we're negotiating with. It's one of the largest quick serve restaurants in the country. I can't say the name, but people can imagine who it is. And they have the same challenge that everyone else has. How do they make their staff feel safe? So yeah, maybe it's only putting one or two wearables in each location, but times that times X thousand, and there you go. So that's another opportunity. It's really the opportunities are truly endless.
And what does a typical customer installation look like in terms of cost, margins, deployment timeline, and annual recurring revenue potential?
That's a great question. So as far as the installation, XSponse again is a manufacturer. So we're not the ones doing the installation. We don't have the trucks, the ladders. We're selling software, hardware, infrastructure. That's really what we're focused on. So our dealers have great margins. Depending on their dealership level, it could be as high as 40-45% off of our MSRP pricing. So they have great margins. Their markup is typically pretty successful as well. Industry standard, if not higher, which is why we've had such a huge amount of sign up. And it's a simple deployment because everything's plug and play. Power over Ethernet. Think of the Ring doorbell, the Nest thermostat on an enterprise level. You go, you plug it in, it deploys itself, it configures itself, it updates itself. The same thing, but on an enterprise level, and that's really what it's all about. As an integrator for 20 years, I knew the challenges were always the cost to roll a truck, so to speak. And we've solved that challenge by building this infrastructure that self-deploys itself using artificial intelligence technology. Just makes it that much easier and that much quicker, which preserves everyone's margins, makes it effective, and gives us the ability to roll out that ARR. And the ARR model is a combination of licensing, software add-ons. Depending on the infrastructure, it could be a couple $1,000s, it could be tens of thousands of dollars, depending on what they're looking to do. And many of our clients are looking to purchase solely on a recurring basis on a software level as software as a service or infrastructure as a service for different components that we offer. So that's a component of that as well.
And on that, so is your revenue model primarily hardware sales, software subscriptions, or a bundled recurring service model?
So it's all of the above, but we are a software company. We are a software company. Yeah, do we have hardware? Hardware is what keeps us sticky and ties us in, but we are a software company at the heart of XSponse. It's all about the software and the ecosystem that we built. But yeah, there are hardware components that help us sell the software. There's recurring revenue that comes in from all the above, but ultimately we're all about the ARR and building an ARR model. That's what the software model is all about. Anyone who knows SaaS, we've created the first infrastructure as a service play where we're not just taking the software, but we're building out the infrastructure on a service model.
And what regulatory or compliance issues impact design or adoption, and how do you stay ahead of that?
So that's a great question. I mean, as far as regulatory, we're sitting separate from the traditional network. And take a school environment. We actually asked this question earlier today at the White House. We're not tying into privacy systems that would require us to have certain certifications or requirement. Obviously, when it comes to cyber protection, safety, that's all part of it, but nothing specific that's restricting us. Our dealers, the people who are doing the installations, they're the ones who have the various certifications, whether it's security licenses in different states or low voltage licenses. But as a manufacturer, we don't have those same requirements.
And can you discuss the capital structure today as well as your current raise?
Yeah, so right now we're in the process of coming out with our Series A. Everything that we've raised so far has been family and friends. We've had a lot of success getting us started with the family and friends round so far. And, we're looking for a few great investors. We're not just looking for raw money. We're looking for partnership. We're looking for people who bring value. So for the 3 investors that we brought into the organization so far have been people that more than bringing money, they bring tremendous, tremendous value, open doors and opportunities. several of the meetings we're at this week in DC have come from our investors really bringing those opportunities. So we're not looking for someone passive. We're looking for someone or an organization who can bring that value. Currently, we're looking to raise between $10 and $15 million right now. The focus of that money is to expand the sales organization and really grow. We have some incredible opportunities to hire some really, really sharp players. It's all about building demand. What we found, our success, our sweet spot has been building demand for our dealers, going to the organizations and saying, hey, look, Texas, we got an opportunity here. We're going to hand it off to a dealer. Once you bring an opportunity to a dealer like that, they're hooked in for life. So that's really what we're focused on, is building that demand, building the organization up. We've proven ourselves in the past 6 months, and now it's all about growth and expansion.
Great. Well, that concludes the questions. For the audience, everyone out there knows how to get in touch with me. I'm happy to facilitate an introduction to the team here. If you have additional questions or want to dive deeper into the opportunity, in turn, they will have all of your information as well. We'll be reaching out. But Lee, Andy, Ryan, I want to turn it back over to all of you for any final words before we close out today.
Well, I would just like to thank everyone for jumping on this call today. I know, depending on where you are in the country, there's some weather going on in different places, but this means a lot to us. This is not just an investment into another technology company. This is technology that is going to save lives. And I look at Andy and Ryan every day, and they're the reason why I'm here. They're the reason why my team has been put together. We are making a difference every single day. And by being part of this organization, you're going to help make a difference as well. So just want to thank everyone. And I'll turn it over to Andy for his final comments.
Thanks, Lee. I would say that we're like a team. We're not just like individuals. We love working together. We appreciate each other. We bounce ideas off each other. We're always together working, and it's something that we enjoy doing. We don't, and we like seeing it when it's installed, and the difference that we make in a community, in a building, in a school. It means a lot to us to help people and make a difference. So we're in it. We're in it because we really love what we do.
Fantastic. I just want to say I'm honored to have you guys on and presenting. Thank you so much. And let's accomplish the goal.
Ryan, did you want to close anything out?
Sure. Look, I'll just add my piece here. Look, for Andy and me, and I know for Lee and the rest of the team, team's a word that gets overused sometimes, or maybe is a little bit ambiguous, but we do really feel like a team on a mission. And that's fun to be a part of. I've been involved in a number of technology companies over the years, and I can't say that all of them were where we were all rowing in the same direction, but this is one where we're all rowing in the same direction. It's an important mission, and nothing drives that point home better than Andy and I had an opportunity to go up and meet with the community where we did our first installation, and got to talk to a few of those parents, and just to know that those parents are resting easier knowing their kids are a little bit safer in that community is what makes it all worth it for us at the end of the day. So I love being a part of this. Lee's put together a fantastic team. There's 3 of us on the call. There's a whole bunch of us behind the scenes that aren't on the call today. It's a team rowing in the same direction, and I love being a part of that. So thank you for attending today.
Thank you. Have a great day.